This week, the LA Times looked at a recent report on suicide rates among female veterans. The issue of veteran suicide has gotten more attention in recent years, but there wasn't much information available on female vets who commit suicide. There are many issues that researchers are studying right now, including the backgrounds and health of individuals who sign up for the military. But the new report also highlights the need to look more closely at the potential connection between military sexual assault and suicide. New Mexico in Focus producer Sarah Gustavus sat down with a representative from Women Veterans of New Mexico to talk about what can be done with this new information.
Pat Gaston, retired Lieutenant Colonel in the U.S. Army. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're also the president of Women Veterans of New Mexico, and I want to talk with you about this LA Times article and the report that they covered. Is there a difference when women come back and men come back, and the mental health challenges that they face?
There's definitely a difference. Generally, we think women, even if you're not in the service, we think women, we're the caretakers. We take care of the kids. We take care of the household. We take care of the husbands. We take care of everything. We take care of our parents. We take care of everything. So when a female comes back and a guy comes back, it's a little bit different. A guy can still come back into a secondary role, whereas a woman is expected to take over as being in charge, taking over the household, take care of rearing the kids. And they don't realize that they have the same issues, if not more than men. So their mental health is fragile, and it's not recognized, and they're expected immediately to hop back into the roles they left. And sometimes women do that. They're able to jump right back in, but it all catches up after a while. All the trauma and the things they experience in combat, and we'll talk about MST later, the things they experience is different than men, and so they come back with different issues. And there for a while, they can jump back into the role, but after a while, it just all builds up on them.
You mentioned MST, that's military sexual trauma. We've been hearing a lot more about that in recent years, about women experiencing sexual assault, various things that might happen to them while they're serving. How is that playing into the mental health and potential that women might try to take their own lives?
It's a lot to deal with. The statistics say the Army says it's 1 in 5, but we all, the women who in the military, all know it's more than that. The women I've came in contact through my organization, I would say at least 70% of the women I've talked to have had some kind of military sexual trauma, and they say assault, but we really should call it what it is. For the most part, it is rape. A lot of the women are raped. There are some that are assaulted. There are some that are sexually harassed every day. And how that builds up mentally is they don't feel like they can talk about it. It's a very sensitive issue. And when they were in the situation, unlike on the civilian side, they might have to work with that individual. That could be their boss, and you can't get away from them. When you're deployed, where are you gonna go? So your mental health, that stress every single day of having to look at that person who assaulted you or is sexually harassing you, it just builds up. And then when you get home, it's even worse because you can't talk about it, so it's building up, it's festering, and you're still trying to deal with just daily life. And like I said, after a while, it just overwhelms and consumes the person.
And if a woman seeks out help, maybe goes to the VA and said, I need some counseling, I need to talk to someone, is she going to be talking to a man?
The good thing about our VA is we do have a women's health clinic, and it's all women, which is awesome because that's what they need. Even though it is a woman, it's very hard sometimes to talk to them because they are civilian, and it's very hard for a military person to talk to a civilian because we kind of know they don't have the same experiences. And so women trust them to a degree, but it's still really hard to talk to them. And it usually takes a while for them actually to seek help because they put everything else first, taking care of their parents, getting back into the stream of life. And so it takes them quite a while before they actually seek help because the Army, any of the military says, be strong, you're weak, you can handle it. And so they're trying to be strong and they're trying to handle it, and they just can't. And when they eventually do go to the VA, there is a women's stress disorder team that is there for female vets.
Do we need more research on the experience of female veterans?
We definitely do. And as the article LA talked about, they didn't do any researches before on women, just like many things were kind of left out, and we're compared to men, and we're not men. And so our experiences are totally different than men. And I think it's about time they did this research, and if they would have done it earlier, they might have saved a lot of lives. because the MST and the combat situation, being away from home, the whole stress of that, and you add all those up, that's a lot. And you're talking about the younger women that are committing suicide more than the older ones. They don't have the experience, they don't have a lot of skill sets to deal with the trauma that they've gone through.
What do you think would make a difference for female veterans here in New Mexico? What would put us on a path to offering them the services that they need?
I think for New Mexico, we have a lot of military bases. We have Army Guard, we have the Air Guard, and I think those commanders, if they take MST more seriously, when a woman says, I've been assaulted, that is the hardest thing they've ever had to do, and especially commanders are male, and to have to go to them or their team leader, which is probably male, that is one of the hardest things they have to do. And if they're discounted by them, they probably will never report that. And they have a higher rate or a higher propensity to commit suicide because no one listened to me. Why should I even say anything? So all that stuff is building up. So I'd say in New Mexico, with all our military bases, the commanders need to take women seriously. No one's really going to go for it, especially in the military, and say, "Oh, I've been raped, I've been harassed," if it's not true, because there's too much repercussion to go back the other way. It's usually the victim getting blamed, and they know that going in, so they're not going to report that, especially false. So commanders need to take them seriously, and there needs to be. If women don't want to go to the VA because they're not comfortable, because you're going into there again 9% male environment, and they don't want to go into that setting, that it would be great if we had some therapists that would provide their services at a reduced rate or even a free rate if a woman is homeless or couch hopping, because all that stress has put them into that situation. So it would be nice if therapists could do some outreach to the women, especially male therapists could do that.
Pat, thanks for sitting down with us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.